Hey, before we get into what I worked on this last month, let me show you a few things the contractor actually got finished.
Now, the first thing to note is these walls are super rough, and the guys that did the block work really don't care about the paint. So the first thing you got to do is go through and make sure any loose pieces of mortar or the mortar wash is off the walls, otherwise it's going to fall off later. The second thing is priming. You've got to wait at least a month before you prime these walls. Otherwise, you're going to have too much moisture in the wall and it doesn't have an opportunity to escape. It'll cause problems for you later. Now, I chose to use Kills 2 primer on this. It's basically a good quality primer. Does a great job for me. I used it before on the same kind of a wall for a addition we put on our house about 10 years ago, and that addition looks great. So I chose to spray the same thing on this wall as well. Now, I sprayed the primer instead of rolling it. I would venture to say that rolling is much better, but it takes forever. And with the spray, the primer is very thick, but you can thin this out a little bit with water. It's about a half a pint per gallon. And once you do that, it actually sprays pretty good. After I let the primer dry for about an hour, I'm able to move on to the paint. And in this case, I used a Sherwin-Williams Duration paint. It's a paint that I've done on the house before, very expensive. So I never buy the paint full price. I always wait for a sale, somewhere between 25 and 40% off. And that happens several times a year, and that's when you want to buy the paint. One coat finish, I painted the whole outside with that one coat and then did the trim. But it's a great quality paint, and like I said, it's done really well for me over the years. Now I'm going to wrap the whole thing with 3/4 inch plywood, but as you can see, that leaves a large gap right here. So I'm going to use up here a 3/4 inch piece to fur it out so it's more consistent with the edge of the wood. And then as I work my way down the side, I'll use, that'll be too much, 3/4, so I'll use probably 1/2 inch once I get down here to get a nice edge. Well, yesterday I finished trimming out the opening between the old garage and the new garage. And as you can see, I caulked all the spaces between the block and the trim work. So this is ready for paint, and I'm going to paint that here pretty quick. But I had a little exciting event last night. I decided to leave the plastic off the garage opening for just one night because I was going to do some work in here the next day. And the dogs started barking, and I looked out into the garage and I saw 10 javelina, 10, inside the garage towards the front, ripping open a bag of birdseed, if you can believe that. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. And if you don't know what a javelina is, it's like an Arizona wild pig. They're about 50 pounds a piece. Pretty docile, but they can be aggressive if they need to be. Had a little wall here that I thought that no critter would try to get over that. They went over that no problem. So I put a bigger wall down after I scared them out, and I'll use that cabinet wall to prevent them from coming in the future, but that was a little scary. So anyway, I'm going to start painting these now, and I'll do the really the final color both on the inside part and the old garage part. Okay, now I'm ready to start treating the floor, and I have to decide what kind of treatment I want to do. Now, the first thing you think of is an epoxy floor coating. You can do it yourself or you can hire a professional. Anywhere from maybe $300 up to a couple of grand to get that done. Looks beautiful, very durable. I really like that. But I'm going to put a lot of tools in here. It's a small shop, maybe even a couple of floor mats. I won't really get the visual look out of it. So why spend the money and why do it? The second choice is painting. And I painted a garage floor before and it's not too bad, but they do chip, they do wear, they look bad over time, and I don't really want to move all the tools out and repaint it and bring them all back in. So the choice that I've decided to go with is sealing. I think it's probably the least expensive. I've got a brand new concrete floor I can kind of show off. Cost me under $100 for the cleaner and the sealer, so it's not a bad deal. Now, before I seal the floor, I got to clean it. And the first thing I did was sweep everything off the floor. You would be amazed with what contractors leave on the floor. Just about every little piece of thing you can possibly think of, from building a garage or a house or whatever, they leave a mess. Even some of their food wrappers from eating snacks while they're working. The second thing I did then is get my blower and try to blow as much dust off the floor as I possibly could. The third thing I'm going to do is rinse the floor, and the fourth thing, and probably the most important, is cleaning the floor. Okay, now to clean this floor, which is my fourth step, I've decided to use this product. It's a ZEP driveway and concrete cleaner. Anyway, I've decided to use this. I looked at reviews. In one of the reviews, this came in third. The first and second choices were commercial products. So I think this is going to be a very good product for me. Very easy to apply, very easy to deal with. Now, I don't have any oil stains. I don't have any paint stains. I don't want to etch the floor like I would with a epoxy coating. So I'm using a product that's kind of a mild cleaner. It's not really a heavy-duty cleaner, but with a brand new concrete floor, this should be no problem. Now, to seal the floor once everything's clean, I've decided to use this product, Concrete Sealers USA. This is a commercial product that they started using in residential applications. I bought this on Amazon. It wasn't that expensive. And when I got the product, I actually got an email from the company telling me about the product, telling me they're venturing into the residential space, telling me how to apply the product, everything. I sent them a note back and they even replied back again. Well, that's an amazing service to be able to actually send an email back and forth with somebody about how to use their products. So I'm very confident in this, came highly rated. So let's go ahead and get started in applying these products.
Hey, well, I thought this was going to be an enormous task to tape off all this conduit, but I was able to get it done. It only took me a few hours to do it, but you know, I wanted to show all the conduit after it was painted. It might take me longer to take the tape off than it did to put it on, but the reality is I am ready to paint this One thing I kind of want to point out is the obvious. This is a pretty bright white, and I chose that for a reason. This is a small shop. I wanted to feel as big as possible, so I wanted to use a brighter color to do that. Now, this isn't as white as I could have possibly gone. This is called Santa's Beard, and it is around Christmas time. This is about 4 shades darker than the bright white. And I just thought with the lights I'm going to bring in, that bright white might cause some problems in this room. So I went with a few shades darker than that. I also did a flat finish on this, not a gloss finish, because I didn't want too much reflection off of that shiny reflection you get off a gloss finish. So I went with a flat white. I think that's going to be okay. We'll see what happens when I get everything in here and start filming and have the lights. You also know I've got kind of these little niches here in the wall. This was kind of a 1970s house that was very popular in that time. This is actually the outside of the old garage. And in fact, when I first moved here, these were open and you could have airflow through them. I filled them on the backside, built a cabinet back there to house tools, and I've got these, kind of these little niches here. And I didn't paint these out because in a future video, you're going to see me trim these out with wood and use this for storage. And I've got a couple of different ideas that I'm looking at. So stay tuned. Well, I finished painting for the last couple of days and didn't want to bore you with all that effort. And I got the look that I think I like for the shop. A couple of things I want to point out. First of all, I painted everything with a sprayer, put that primer on, and then a first layer of coat, and it didn't quite look good enough. It sprayed and it covered well, but it didn't really seep into the bricks. So I rolled a coat of paint on this, and that made a big difference for me. Honestly, I probably could have rolled the whole thing and been okay, but I didn't do that. So I got the finish I like, and as you can see, I got everything taped up here for spraying, and I'll have to pull all that off. I've done some of that already. And then back here on the back wall, I did the same thing, but I put a slightly different color, and this is going to be a kind of a feature wall for the shop. You'll see that in the next episode, so stay tuned. What I've got to do next now is really kind of strip all this tape off, a little bit of touch up after I do that, and then I'm ready to do the baseboards, which I'll do next in this particular project. Well, hey, I'd like to say we're finished, but we're not quite. Need a garage door, need some grading on the outside, and build that driveway up to the garage. Can't do that yet because the contractor hasn't come and done those installations. So what can I say? Everything else on the inside is done, except for a few things, and that comes up in the next episode. Lighting, which is one of the most critical things in a shop. Obviously, dust collection is very critical. And the third thing, you're going to have to wait till the next episode. But I bet you could leave a comment in this one and tell me what it is, because it's critical to a good shop layout. Thanks for watching today, and if you like what you see, please hit like. If you want to subscribe to my channel, I would certainly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.